my question to you now, AJ, KHALIL Rountree, an underdog, he defeated Modestas Bukauskas. He really was just wiping the floor with him, man. You know what I mean? He was winning the whole entire fight. But he ended the fight with a brutal, what some are calling it an oblique kick. When you look a little closer, it was just kind of like a side karate downward side kick. You know what I'm saying? But Modestas Bukauskas actually moved perfectly at the wrong time. So he moved his knee to where instead of the knee hyperextending back, he moved it to the side. So he just blew out the whole knee just got destroyed. And this is a big 205er in KHALIL Rountree who's a Muay Thai kicker who's trying to kick the shit out of your leg. He ends up with a broken leg, probably a blown out PCL, MCL, LCL, all the whole entire good stuff, man. But the question now is this that everyone is talking about in the MMA community. Should oblique kicks be banned because of the damage that fighters will take? Modestas Bukauskas might be out a year after this fight. What do you think, AJ?
My only question is this any different than the heel hook we saw last week? I don't really think so. I think they're both dangerous. It looks different visually. It looks more aggressive. And this reminded me, I don't know if you remember the movie. I sent this to us on the snap or on the chat. But the movie Collateral with Tom Cruise. He walks in the club and just absolutely just blows out this dude's knee. Yeah, same. This is exactly what I thought of when Roundtree hit that kick, man. And no, I don't think it should be. I think it should stay. It should not be taken out because once we start taking out things like this, we're going to start taking out heel hooks because they're too dangerous. I already disagree with the 12-6 elbow rule. You know, there's things out there that aren't as crazy, and this is one of those things that just was the worst time the worst movement at the worst time. Modestas Bukauskas was in just the bad spot, bad spot, bad timing, everything. When it rains, it pours. And unfortunately right there, it was raining down side kicks to the knee and Bukauskas caught the worst of it, man. So no, I don't think it should be taken out. I don't think it should be, banned from the sport. I think that's a bad call. And like Giannis said, you just need to learn from it. It's a thing that happens. Everybody throws side kicks. They're going to throw it at your leg. They're going to throw it at your chest. They're going to throw it at your head. You just got to learn how to deal with it and which way it comes. And unfortunately, Bukauskas was just turning and caught the worst of it, man. What do you think? Should this be banned, or is this something you see pretty normal?
This is a very normal technique to me. And the thing that surprised me the most that no one's talking about is that Roundtree actually threw the side kick and missed first, right? So Bukauskas saw it. And then he just let Roundtree throw it again and then turned his knee perfectly to where the thing just got blown out, right? So it was ugly. You don't want to see it, but at the same time, you saw it. You feel me? So it's that's like someone saying I don't know, you shouldn't be able to throw elbows because it'll gash up your face too bad. You know what I mean? It's not the same thing, obviously, because people are obviously talking about the long-term damage that you're going to have, but I guess it's more equal to the heel hook situation. If that were the case, then Ryan Hall should never be able to fight then, right? Because that's what he's doing. He's Imanari rolling into a heel hook and just blowing people's knees out left and right. But that's also very important on why you will hear in your gyms if you train any type of martial arts, but especially a jiu-jitsu, right? They will tell you, all right, this is what we're not going to allow in practice while we're training. No knee bars, no heel hooks, you know what I'm saying? If you grab somebody in a Kimura, do not crank that thing. That's not what the training is for. However, we're going to put you in a position to where you can try to work and defend these things in a very playful, trainingful manner, because when it's the showtime, when it's the real time, man, and someone tries that on you, man, you got to know how to defend. You got to know how to get out of these spots. So I just think it's another iteration of that. But the most important thing to me, AJ, is that we sit here and we have these recency biases because some things look really, really bad, man. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, the beauty of UFC or mixed martial arts is its origins in Vale Tudo, no holds barred. You know what I'm saying? That's what the sport originally was. Obviously, you have to have a couple rules here and there, but at what point does it turn into Dana White? He said it himself. He was like, "Oh, what do you want next? We're gonna put a helmet and shoulder pads on these guys." You know what I'm saying? This is the fight game. What are we talking about? You know? I just think the optics were really, really bad because KHALIL Rountree is a monster and he kicks really hard. And Bukauskas, he was a little, I don't want to say docile, but he appeared to be a little docile in this fight. You know what I mean? He was clearly starstruck. He said it himself after the fight that KHALIL Rountree was his idol. He watched him on The Ultimate Fighter, all that good stuff. Man, I don't know. So ultimately, at the end of the day, no. Well, I think we're in consensus. No, it should not be illegal. And at the end of the day, John Jones is over there. He's having a great old time because he's like, dude, this is my move, man. Y'all arguing over my move, my oblique? Come on, what are we talking about, man? But at the end of the day, let's talk about not just the oblique kick, but the performance of KHALIL Rountree Jr., man. This is as good, if not better, than the Bangkok-ready Roundtree we saw against Eric Anders. So I picked against Bukauskas because I didn't know which Roundtree would show up, but that's the hard part about being a fan of Roundtree is that one fight, he shows up. The next fight, he doesn't. The next fight, he does. The next fight, he doesn't. So this is actually his first win since 2019 when he beat the brakes off of Eric Anders for 3 rounds, man. That was Bangkok-ready Khalil right there. He's 5-4 in the UFC, which is a little surprising, but all of his UFC wins are via stoppage. Just tell me what that means to you, AJ.
Well, it's exactly like you were saying, man. He either shows up or he doesn't, which is rough because, man, Khalil Roundtree, when he shows up, he is an absolute world beater. And honestly, in this fight, man, he came from the jump. He showed up, he was ready, and he was throwing some heat, bro. And what I liked about him, too, is once you could tell here, I was like, all right, I'm cracking this dude. I got to calm down a little bit. He ended round 1 kind of on a lull. If you can count at that, he was still throwing heat and absolutely putting it to Bukauskas and putting Bukauskas on the back foot the entire time. But then he came out again in round 1 with the same kind of ferocity and the same kind of pressure and just literally made it notable that he was there for the scrap and not necessarily here, just to collect paycheck or just to fight it out. He was actually Bangkok ready, Khalil Roundtree, and it was good to see. So the fact that he's going, like you said, 4-5 in his UFC tenure, it just shows that it seems to be kind of a mental game for Khalil Roundtree. Either he's feeling the flow or he's not. And when he is, man, he's an absolute world beater. And it's going to be interesting to see where he goes in his future coming up, in the UFC. What do you think?
Well, absolutely, man. I will say that Roundtree's 5-4 in the UFC, so give the man his credit. He's won over 500, you dig? But yeah, man, it just depends on which one shows up, man. That's what it comes down to. So it's really hard to gauge the progress of the man's career when you don't know how he's going to fight. You know what I mean? If he's literally like a different fighter every time he fights, which is very interesting. The biggest thing that I have for my takeaway from this fight is that he said something interesting in the post-fight presser where he's like, I'm not running away from my fears anymore. I'm confronting my fears head on. So clearly it's a mental thing, man. Like this dude is a specimen. He's stacked. He's ready to go. But there's something here that, listen, they all say they're scared. I think, I don't know, it was Aspinall actually. He says, listen, every time I come into the cage, man, I'm terrified. But that's how I express myself. I come in here and I whoop that ass and I get rid of that fear. You dig? So come on, Khalil, we rooting for you. Bangkok ready. Listen, speedy recovery to Modestas Bukauskas, man. Nobody wants to see somebody have to be sidelined and not be able to provide for their family because of an injury that they suffered in the cage. But once again, it's just like crazy calf kicks, right? How about you check the kick or you move your leg away from the kick? It's just one of those things we have to learn from and move on from, but you never want to wish anything terrible on a fighter. And they actually had some mutual respect after the fight where Roundtree says, speedy recovery, man, like, did not mean to hurt you. I just want to win the fight. That's really what it comes down to. So it's a good professional act by both of the fighters, but a big win for Khalil Roundtree, man. Big win.